Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite things ever. I mean, y'all see this behind me, right? You all know my deal. Spiders and bugs. Spiders and bugs. My love, my passion. Spiders especially. We've got more spiders in this room right now. Well, I actually don't have as many spiders as I'm used to having right now because of all the turmoil of my last couple years with everything that's changed. So, but I'm gonna get back there. Don't you worry. Right now, I just have the three spiders and then my roaches and beetles. It's not that I don't like spiders. The fact that I woke up a couple years ago with a big one crawling there, my chest hair. Oh. I got a short on my channel. It's actually my most successful video of me in my underwear with a spider crawling from my panties up to, or no, was it down? It might be down. It ends up between my boobies. It's from a long time ago, though. I got 10K views. Go figure, right? A lot of hate too. Don't get me wrong. I was early in my transition. I didn't have any makeup on or anything. I was just being silly. I was sitting there playing with my spiders and like it was actually initially content for my OnlyFans that I stopped posting on over a year ago. So there's some older stuff on there though. If you really want to, you can pay me and then I'll show it to you. I don't know if I'll put anything new on there or not. Not anytime soon. Yeah. I do have a black beauty right here. This is my black beauty. She is a Grammostola pulchra, Brazilian velvety black tarantula. So gorgeous. But we're not visiting Brazil today. We're not talking about Brazilian spiders either, to be honest with you. We're all the way on the other side of the Atlantic where the spiders are a little bit more aggressive. I don't know if you all know this about tarantulas, but they're divided into two groups. Old world tarantulas and new world tarantulas. And there's some loose rules to follow regarding that, okay? So, new world tarantulas, most tend to have urticating hairs, which means that they will drum on their ass if you piss them off instead of biting you. Because that releases this cloud of these little barbed hairs into the air that will irritate your eyes. Love poultry. Me too. Yeah. But the Brazilian wandering spiders are dangerous. Sort of. I mean, like a jaguar's dangerous, right? More dangerous than a dog's more dangerous than a Brazilian wandering spider. You're more likely to get bit by a dog. Brazilian wandering spiders don't come into contact with people very much. They live deep in the jungle and they're scared of us. Deep in the Amazonian rainforest, as the case may be. But that's also where the world's biggest spider lives, which is Theraphosa blondi, closely followed by a lot of its little allies right there in the northern part of South America, right there around that Amazon basin. That's where probably the top 5 biggest, heaviest spiders live, right? You got the 3 species of Theraphosa. You got Nandu chromaticus, which get huge. You got this, what are the salmon pinks called? That's going to drive me crazy. Salmon pink tarantula is... Brazilian... Lasiodora parabana. I can't believe I forgot that. I had one for a long time. It's my love, and she passed away. way before she was fully mature too. I cooked her. I was a terrible, terrible spider mom. When we first moved into a new place, and she was in the basement. I thought the basement was too cold, so I put a heater blasting on her, and I cooked her. And I'm the worst mom ever. And she was only this big at the time, and she would have been this big by now. But I cooked her, so I'm sad. But I digress. I had a huge bird-eating tarantula. I've had a couple of bird-eating tarantulas in my days. And they get huge. They get bigger than anything in the old world, or at least anything that's been discovered yet. But there's legends. There are legends of spiders that get bigger than anything that you can imagine. Crawling on the jungle floor. But without further ado, let's get into it, because we're going to be talking about those alleged spiders of Africa. This time. We did North America recently, right? And we covered Mojave giant spiders, a giant spider from Maine. We covered even a giant spider crossing a road in Canada. But as cool as the deserts and stuff of North America are, I just don't see them harboring too many unknown species of large arthropods, right? I just don't see that becoming something that is discovered in the future, right? But the Congo and the Amazon, on the other hand, are always yielding new life forms. And this is from the Congo Basin, the Jabafofi, or Jabafofi, however you prefer to pronounce it. I found this nice channel where they talk about cryptids, dinosaurs, comics. I mean, he's writing a comic about people getting lost in the Congo, right? That's his premise. But he did some research videos about the Jabafofi, and with some, I think it's fairly good information. Oh, hold on. Yeah. So let's dive right into it.
Jabafofi is a giant spider cryptid said to inhabit the Congolese forests. Descriptions vary between a funnel web spider and a gigantic tarantula. We thought the latter would be more pragmatic, but the funnel webs made it to the final artwork. As I said,
so, I mean, he says that here, and he's talking about his artwork for his comic book, but funnel web or tarantula. But there's a third option that a lot of the folklore leans around, and that's like a giant, like, web weaving tree spider in the trees, right? Like a giant orb weaver.
Tarantula type was decided early on, being that a myriad of tarantulas roamed the Congolese forests.
So, and there are tarantulas that are larger than 15 centimeters that he just mentioned there. There's ones that'll approach 30 centimeters, right? Like the size of a dinner plate.
Now for the crazier part. Some accounts put these spiders at 1.5 meters leg span. That's a tarantula capable of taking down medium to large mammals like leopards, juvenile okapi, and...
Okay, well, to be clear, nothing's taking down leopards just because, right? Nothing's gonna be... oh, you know what I think makes good prey? A freaking leopard. There's no animal that says leopards are yummy prey. Now... eating the cats, of course. They're humans do hunt leopards, but they don't eat them. So, whatevs.
And humans. Now, the medium-sized tarantula reaches like 15 centimeters leg span, and it's capable of hunting down like small mice, small lizards, the occasional birds. But this cryptid takes it to the next level, making it one of the most interesting in our series. The best known alleged Jabafofi sighting occurred in 1938 in the interior.
Alright, so we got a good... This is why I picked this one. I like this guy's animation of that he does of the sighting from 1938. This is kind of the quintessential Jabafofi sighting by Westerners. Now listen to the description very closely.
Of the Belgian Congo, and was made by explorers Reginald and Marguerite Lloyd, a couple that was driving down the roads of the Belgian Congo at the time. Now it's the Democratic Republic of the Congo, so at the time it was pretty different. And this couple made one of the best known accounts of this cryptid, which is as following. Whilst they were driving down a jungle path, a figure crawled out onto the road ahead of their car, which Reginald Lloyd took to be a cat or a monkey, like a big cat or a big monkey, or even a small child. They really didn't understand at first what it was that
So, big cat and a small child are in completely different size categories in my opinion, but I digress.
crawled into the road. He stopped the car to let the figure pass, and seeing that it was in fact an enormous spider, like a tarantula, big hairy spider, turned to get his camera, only for the spider to scuttle away into the undergrowth. The account was later passed on to Bill Gibbons by the Lloyd's daughter, Margaret. Now, this has to be...
So, spiders and the spider species, the tarantula species that are prominent in Africa, the most common ones are in a group that are often called the baboon tarantulas, right? They're called the baboon tarantulas because their legs look like baboon fingers. I didn't know if you all knew that or not, but that's where that comes from. And they, as I was talking about, the New World tarantulas have the urticating hairs that they want to kick up and spray at you to get you to leave them alone. That's their defensive method. They turn away from you and kick their own butt at you. Baboon tarantulas don't do that. They don't have those urticating hairs. So what they do instead, their ritual isn't quite as abstract. They don't turn around and drum on their... They just bite you. They just bite you. Yeah, that's what they do. They just bite you. So baboon tarantulas are probably the most aggressive group of tarantulas in my personal opinion. Threat postures. I've had some baboons in my past. Some baboon tarantulas, not baboon monkeys. But, yeah, threat displays. They strike. If you stick a paintbrush in there, they will strike at it. They don't mess around, and they are powerful animals.
One of the best descriptions of this cryptid, and I think it's a description that made me fall in love with this cryptid. It's so cinematic, it's so, I think, visceral. We can almost be there in the footsteps of these explorers and see the spider ourselves if we close our eyes. It's really amazing.
Explorers, they're people in a car going down the road, driving down the road with his wife. This is the same thing that happened with the Loch Ness Monster.
And it's one of the things that made me draw this series in the first place. These cryptids are said to be extremely venomous, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense. We, as authors, don't think the Jbafofi being extremely venomous makes a lot of sense because it's a almost 2 meter leg span spider. It doesn't really... having a hematophagous venom wouldn't be a bad idea, though, for writing fiction, because, like a Komodo dragon, so this guy could bite, like, a deer or an antelope, and then just wait for the antelope to succumb to the blood poisoning. Really needs to be extremely venomous to deliver a fatal bite, so we didn't really took that into account when conceptualizing or finalizing the cryptid itself. Now we had this giant defensive tarantula conceptualized. I say defensive because they're said to be extremely aggressive, but I find aggressive to be a mistake. Do not call them that, they're just animals, so it's best to say they're defensive. And we actually started off with a nest of babies.
I'm here for that. Defensive is fine. So, but they are... Because... The spider doing the butt paddling is just as defensive as the spider doing the threat display and striking at you, right? That's the thing there, is that maybe it's getting overlooked here. I don't know. But you can't just lump all tarantulas in the same group, and he's showing a lot of New World tarantula stuff. Yeah.
On the first volume, even though these babies are born the size of the biggest tarantula alive today, the Thyrophosa blondi. It's a South American gigantic tarantula. It reaches the size of a dinner plate. It has the common name bird eater. So
but they're not in Africa, and they're not baboons either. So let's keep that in mind.
You can picture this spider like crawling to the bird's nest and hitting the birds. I think that's how it was discovered. It's actually another crazy story because it was discovered by a scientist, a female scientist, if I'm not mistaken. and she said she saw a spider, a gigantic spider, hitting a bird, and she was ridicularized by the scientific committee, and they actually found some years later.
Now that's true. Yeah, she was like, they're like, ah, whatever, because she painted it. She's like, here's this. I saw this spider eating a bird. Now we got photos and stuff of them eating birds. So yeah, they do eat birds. The real bird spiders are the aviculera though, and they're called that because they're kind of gliding tarantulas. They jump out of the treetops if they need to. And go, whew, they glide like gliding frogs. They have big bushy legs. I actually have one right here. Oh. But I think it just ate, so she's probably chilling. Yeah. Anyway.
That account to be true, and the Thyrephausa blondie is the biggest terrestrial arachnid I think known today to be alive. There were bigger arachnids in the Carboniferous era, but that's a subject for another video. Back to it. So throughout our series, various adults also make troublesome appearances. So they come in contact with some of our characters, some of our protagonists, human protagonists, but we wanted to really emphasize that no tarantula attacks unprovoked.
All right, and that is Elastiodora parabana. Another New World species.
We have to bear in mind, these are animals. They're not out there to kill you. They're not out there to come crawling in your bed. Those are just myths. No one swallows 10 spiders per night. That's a National Geographic myth. And it's actually a really fun one, because I think those few words...
You guys don't, I do. I swallow as many spiders a night as I can.
Have created more arachnophobes than we can count. So, although this is a very scary looking cryptid, very defensive cryptid, it's still an animal.
No, they're not scary to me. I don't get it, honestly. I mean, I do, because they have big fangs, but like so do bears and raccoons and possums, and they're all cute too and fuzzy, and I just don't have that aversion to tarantula. And that's the thing too, a lot of people are like, oh, it's the big fuzzy ones that scare me. The big fuzzy ones are the cute ones. They're furry, they're fluffy, sometimes they have little patterns like pandas. Goodness gracious, they're adorable. And then they have little eyes, so cute.
Out there to follow our characters to their death. Whenever some encounter happens, is the human's fault. So every time there's an attack, the humans messed with it first, which is blatantly realistic. As an owner of several species of tarantula, this was probably my favorite cryptid to conceptualize. If you want to know this cryptid and a bunch...
Do you have a baboon though? Because you've shown a lot of spiders, but it seems like you have a lot of New World spiders. I think you have a green bottle blue. I saw a parabana.
More, you can head over to the links in the description. We have digital comics on Amazon, Google Play.
The comic looks cool though, don't get me wrong, the comic looks badass. There's all the Congo cryptids in it, Mokalimimbi, Kase Rex, all of them. So the comic looks cool. I just like wanted to...
Fofi.
Here we go.
Giant spider.
Check that out.
This is Jabba Fofi, a giant spider cryptid that is said to dwell deep within the Congolese forests.
Ha!
But, is it real?
This has to be one of the most asked questions throughout our social media, especially YouTube.
No, at least not the way that it's described here. We'll talk about it though. We're gonna get to it, don't worry.
To answer this question, we must delve deeper into what we know about the biggest spiders that are actually known to science. And no, those are not the Australian huntsman spiders, nor New Zealand's cave spiders. That would be like comparing a giraffe to an elephant, being that the elephant, in this case, the Thyrephausa genus, also known as the bird-eating tarantulas. Those are the real heavyweights of the arachnid world, at least today. Thyrephausa blondie is the biggest tarantula to have ever been discovered, measuring up to 28 centimeters.
And that's kind of like up in the air too, because there's not a significant difference between how big blondie can get and how big Apophis can get. It's just the one that they measured that was that happened to be the heaviest was blondie. So, grain of salt on which of the three species of Thyrephausa are actually the biggest.
In lifespan, at most. Is it possible that there once lived a bigger species? We don't know. But so far, there is nothing that confirms it. Of course, in the Carboniferous period, there were giant arthropods of all sorts, so why not suppose that a very big prehistoric-looking spider lived among them? We had a little smell of that, with the megarachn.
The tarantulas didn't show up on the scene until well after the Carboniferous. They actually didn't show up until the Triassic. Spiders, like, the evolution of spiders is really weird. I covered it in depth with R and Raw. What's it been, about 8 months ago, I guess. We did a whole thing on it, just breaking down the evolution of spiders from their first divergence from other arthropods. And it happens that spiders, what we call a spider, happens a lot later than what you think. A lot of people are like, oh, scorpions, they crawl out of the ocean. Yeah, scorpions dead. Scorpions have been around for a long time, and scorpions have been absolutely massive. Scorpions, true scorpions that have, reached the sizes in the Carboniferous of like a house cat. And relatives of the scorpions that weren't quite true scorpions, Brontoscorpius, which was a giant aquatic scorpion, a marine scorpion, not a sea scorpion. It was actually an arachnid, but it wasn't a true scorpion because it had book gills instead of book lungs. But Brontoscorpius got about the size of a person. Now, he's going to start talking about megarachne here.
A spider said to be the size of a small dog. Oh, it's actually not a spider. That got us back to square one on the giant prehistoric spider matter.
Yeah, because megarachne was a sea scorpion, a Eurypterid, the group that we were just talking about there. And though they did have some terrestrial versions of like, what I would say like the crab clade is kind of what they filled. They didn't. They weren't spiders, and their behaviors were probably not very spider-like.
Jbafolfi reports put it at 1.5 meter wingspan. Even the spiderlings are already born quite big, probably bigger than the biggest tarantulas alive today.
That's even bigger than the biggest Central African tarantulas, also known as the baboon tarantulas. The king baboon, Pelinobius muticus, is probably the biggest in the continent, and it's also one of the few that produces a hissing sound.
That is not the right species for king baboon. King baboon is Histocra. Hold on. Oh yeah, I guess that okay. Pelinobius muticus. We're looking for not the king baboon, Hercules baboon. Okay. But we'll get to that in a minute.
By stridulating the chelicerae. And as far as tarantulas go, it's one of the less friendly ones. The same goes for Hysterocrates gigas, native to the Cameroon. Although extremely common among tarantula keepers, it's also known as a reclusive and defensive species. But what if Jbafolfi was actually a moderately big tarantula, like a yet undiscovered but plausible species?
This is what it would probably look like. Although science does support an arachnid this size, it wouldn't look that different from what already exists.
And
it could be, I could see a tarantula being discovered in the Congo that's actually bigger than Theraphosa, than any Theraphosa. I could see that happening, right? Your wife won't eat crustaceans. I like crustaceans. They're nummy. I just had crustaceans for dinner last night. Oh, okay, Bryce. Thank you for dropping in. Foot-long tarantulas eat birds, frogs, snakes, mice, etc. 2 times that size. I think you're underestimating them. Me underestimating? Which species of spider? Yeah, I got videos of I think the biggest macro predatory tarantula feeding I think I've ever seen on camera, but it's not as big as maybe people might want to think. Carcinization is destiny.
Get that.
Jbafofi is all about a truly gigantic spider species, not something that much plausible. Some explorer and native reports also mention portions of the rainforest totally covered in webs. Something like this may be plausible to some species of spiders that gather together
There's a green
and
bottle
weave
blue.
webs that cover entire trees. There are even tarantula species that web a lot. And guess what?
Green bottle blue! I love green bottle blues. I had one right before I moved here, actually. Poor thing didn't survive the move. It was about that size, too. It was a male,
But some of these are indeed found in Africa. But a 1.5-meter leg-span tarantula weaving on top of entire trees, I just don't know about that. Heavy-bodied tarantulas tend to stay on the ground, burrowing or hunting, although some species like the Poecilotheria ornata are indeed among the biggest in the world and are also arboreal. And what would a tarantula of these proportions hunt for? To answer this, we have to, once again, look at the biggest tarantula species, and although their diet consists of mostly insects, they can and will hunt birds, rats, lizards and snakes if given the chance. So, it makes
a spider... These guys said a cat would mess with a 2-foot spider. 2-foot spider. Yeah, I think a cat would probably kick its ass. Cats have like, I think you're underestimating a cat though. Like not a normal, like a bunny that size would be wrecked. But a cat, cats take on, yeah, I mean, you gotta remember, cats take on rattlesnakes. Cats take on cobras. Cats take on, they'll take on a coconut crab. Cats are fierce and powerful animals with like crazy reflexes. They can just their reaction time. I don't think the spider could handle. Not a spider that size. Now a spider that was much bigger than that might overpower a cat, but a 2-foot spider, it's gonna be mostly legs. I think the cat would be scared of it, though. And the cat, a wild cat that's used to hunting other, like, arboreal animals, maybe.
sense that the Jbafofi would hunt animals of its size, and this includes cats, dogs, antelope, big snakes, leopards, juvenile okapi, and of course humans too. Also each other, as virtually all spiders are cannibalistic. Although there's a species of African tarantula, and a very beautiful one, that is known to thrive communally. It's not the only one, but it's the one that presents better results when kept together. Others
M. balfouri is gorgeous as well, and they can live in. I want a communal M. balfouri tank. That'd be so cool.
species may try this, but usually ends up with a very big and very fat specimen preying on all the smaller ones, that stayed small due to the lack of nutrition in the first place. Yes, they can be bullies.
Yeah, don't keep
What
anything
about
else.
venom? After all, Jbafofi is said to be extremely venomous. A bite from it would immediately kill a human. Does this hold any truth? Well, tarantulas have venom. Most of them are really harmless though. The ones that aren't harmless are indeed situated in Africa, and also Asia. So yes, a medically significant bite would be probable. The question is, would they really need the venom? Well, it depends. Just take a look at yourself. Do you have claws, pointy teeth, armored skin, bear-like strength? No? Well, then a bite from the Jbafofi would probably kill you, even without the venom. 20 or 30 centimeter long fangs biting down in a vulnerable area would kill almost immediately, by blunt force alone. But yes, having venom could make the Jbafofi hunt in similar fashion to Komodo dragons. Biting a leg on a big animal and then wait out the effect.
Okay, there you
then
go.
eat it when it already died. That is actually
Well, not when it's already died, like when it's weak enough that it can't fight back anymore, right? When it's been had a lot of blood loss, because that's the main thing about the Komodo dragon's venom, is it makes it so you don't stop bleeding. Yeah, I want to hunt some tarantulas
very
with
interesting
you.
theory for a giant spider.
No
Talking
fair.
about spiders and venom, yes, there are
Oh,
spider species
sweetie.
that pose a bigger threat to us than any tarantula. But ultimately, we pose a bigger threat to them 100% of the time.
We pose a bigger threat to all spiders 100% of the time.
This misconception is what supposedly caused Congolese tribesmen to hunt down the Jbafofi and apparently extinguish them. It's said the giant arachnid was once very common in the rainforests and swamps, but became endangered due to the natives burning their nests. That's an extremely plausible theory for any animal becoming extinct. Anyway, spiders are not the real pests. We are. They have lived for over 300 million years and became one of the most successful predators ever to have lived. And they will surely remain here long after we're gone. A world devoid of arachnids is a world totally inhospitable for us and other species alike. In conclusion, Jibafofi may be among the more plausible cryptids, and may even have existed until recently, but may also have been different from what we picture it to be. Only time, and humans stepping in places they shouldn't, will reveal this to us. Until then, don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell icon to keep updated on the Jibafofi. And
so, he's really... Oh, hold on. Yeah, he's... No, not you yet. Alright, so he's really put a lot of work into this. So yeah, if you like Congo cryptids, he's got this comic book called Congo, A Forgotten World. So go check that out. That's what all this was built up for, but it kind of laid the groundwork for what Jibafofi is. Let's look at some sightings now.
The dense jungle regions of our planet are home to countless mysteries. To this day, archaeologists are still finding ancient civilizations buried beneath the jungle canopy. It's not just buildings and ancient settlements that are being reported on though. For years, tales of unknown creatures have been shared by the locals, which eventually reach outsiders when they venture into these regions. One of the most mysterious and interesting is that of the giant Congo spider, also known as the Jibafofi. The Jibafofi, more commonly known as the giant spider of the Congo, is that of a large undiscovered species of spider that is reportedly the size of a man, and has survived from larger arachnid species found in ancient prehistoric times. Though large spiders have been reported all across the continent.
But there's no giant spiders from prehistoric times known from the fossil record, right?
It appears that within the Congo there are native tribes known as the Baka, but refer to the spider as the Jibafofi, and have a reported leg span of roughly 4 feet long. This was uncovered after a number of African reports began telling of a massive spider infesting different regions, and this was happening at different times of the year. One of the first reported sightings of such a creature occurred back...
That's the thing, too, is Komodo dragons have that excellent olfactory sense, where they can stick that little forked tongue out and just track down wherever their prey is. Spiders really don't have anything like that. I mean, they do have olfactory sense to some extent on their underside. They can pick up pheromones and stuff. But they depend a lot on making sure that whatever they've envenomated can't run away. So they'll generally the idea is to snag its limbs in web.
Back in the 1890s, when a missionary from England ventured into the country of Uganda and discovered a massive web located near Lake Nyasa. He then writes that as they were looking at the web and getting closer to try and understand what it was given its massive size, as it was stretching between two larger standing trees, several of his men became trapped. As they began to move in the webs, sticking to the strings, they claimed spiders with legs longer than 4 feet began to come out and bite the men. Later expeditions in 1938 would lead researchers to consulting with local and native tribes in the Congo that told of the Jibafofi spider that was believed to have a matching leg span of 4 feet in length, had thousands of eggs described as being the size of peanuts, and would nest nearby villages in efforts to trap birds, large animals and even humans. A second encounter...
I find that would be more likely than eggs the size of a grown spider like the other guy was saying, though, because even if they have the potential to grow huge, they don't have to start off huge, right? They can start off larger than other spiders' eggs and start off larger than other spiderlings, but they don't need to be bigger than an adult.
By an archaeologist and his wife, and this was while they were travelling through the Congo. They were on a dirt path when they saw a large creature run across the road. They stopped in order to get a better look at it, initially thinking that the animal in question was a monkey due to how large it was, but after approaching it they soon realised that this creature was a giant spider. Due to these reports within the region, this caused some to suggest that the Congo and places around it are home to large prehistoric creatures. As more and more strange reports begin to surface coming from that of the Democratic Republic of Congo, it becomes apparent to many different researchers that the country seems to be an otherworld of impossible to explain sightings, and supernatural occurrences that have left many wondering if the country appears to be lost in time.
And
this is due to the...
Check this out. So, the Congo is huge. The Congo is basically a jungle. Like, look at the size of North America. The Congo is a jungle the size of North America, right? This is the Congo. And it used to be even bigger. It used to come all the way down here into Angola, all the way down to Zambia and stuff. But we've clear cut. And yeah, it used to go up more north too, all the way up into over here. But regardless, what we have here is a jungle or rainforest or mix of jungle and rainforest and a cloud forest that spans the length of the United States. It's absolutely massive. From the Uganda border to the Atlantic. And it is littered with giant, or speckled with giant lakes. And not a lot of development, because there's not it doesn't. By the time that you clear a way to, like, say, the diamonds and stuff that are in this region, you've lost your money that you're going to make off having the diamonds from this region. But other resources as well. I'm sure eventually it'll all be clear cut down, but that's the Congo. It's the second only to the Amazon in size and is absolutely massive.
The fact that the entire country seems to be filled with a number of strange creatures, and reports that fit that of ancient prehistoric time, with claims of dinosaur-like creatures still roaming the denser areas of the Congo jungle. Despite a number of strange claims, such stories and accounts from native tribes have been impossible to verify, as the dense jungles throughout the region have proven an impossible obstacle for researchers in the modern day. When early explorers were hiking through these regions, local tribe members would warn them about giant spiders that would prey on humans. They said to the explorers that if they came across giant webbing to leave the area immediately, as this was proof that the giant Congo spiders was nearby. One tribe described these spiders as being able to jump from tree to tree, and that even though they were bright in colour, they were hard to see in the backdrop of the jungle. They said that this species of spider also builds mounds, and that if they saw one to stay clear of it. The Congo Basin has an incredible ecosystem. The area is around 500 million acres, which makes it larger than the state of Alaska.
See, I would have been like, hey, can I see one? Will you take me to see one? I want to see a giant tarantula that's 2 feet long, please, that are a meter long or whatever. I want to see one. Thank you.
Those who have heard about the giant Congo spider have suggested that it could be a new species of arachnid. Most of the local stories describe the spider as digging shallow holes close to tree roots, and then camouflaging it with nearby leaves. Cryptozoologist William J. Gibbons was another person who had a run-in with this mysterious creature. The naturalist detailed that while on the hunt for another Congo cryptid known as the Mekele Bembe, his expedition team encountered locals, who told them about their experiences with giant spiders. Amazed at what he was hearing, he was excited to share their stories with others when he returned to Canada. He said the following: "On this third expedition to Africa, I took the opportunity to inquire if the pygmies knew of such a giant spider, and indeed they
See,
did."
and right there, that's an arania form. See how its jaws close like this? My gallimorph, their jaws go straight down. Dink. Arania form. My gallimorph. Arania. My gallimorph. So, that's this wouldn't be a tarantula.
They speak of the giant or the great spider. They describe a spider that's generally brown in colour, with a purple abdomen. They grow to quite an
Pretty.
enormous size. with a leg
It's
span
not
of at least
pink,
5
it's
feet.
purple.
The giant arachnids weave together a layer made of leaves, similar in shape to a pygmy hunt, and spin a circular web, said to be very strong between 2 trees, with a strand across a game trail. These giant ground-dwelling spiders prey on the forest antelope, birds and other small game, and are said to be extremely dangerous, not to mention highly venomous. Although his team didn't see one of these spiders, he said that the local tribe members warned them about the area, and said that they should be on high alert. William believed that the locals were telling the truth about what they'd seen, and that when talking about the spiders they even seemed somewhat scared. Going back in the 1960s, an amateur explorer detailed his encounter with the locals that inhabited the dense regions of the Congo. He said that he'd hired a local guide to help him make his way around the terrain. But when
You're talking about when she's making the Wheelers mush? Yes, Umami, I remember. I want tarantulas to pull my chariot. I thought you had cats pulling your chariot.
one thing that interested him the most was how the locals would talk about the wildlife in the region. He said that they detailed seeing large flying reptile-like creatures, but one of the most fascinating was that of a giant spider.
That's actually kind of true, though, native atheist. They have 8 eyes, though. Some spiders have 6 eyes, like a 6-eyed sand spider and brown recluse, but they're all related to each other. Most spiders and like all tarantulas, except for the ones with no eyes at all that live in caves and stuff, have 8 eyes and poor eyesight. I don't think there's any tarantula that has good eyesight, because their eyes, all 8 of them, are just ocelli, which are like super developed photoreceptive cells, not really camera eyes per se. and they're on a little tiny cluster on the top of their head. But tarantulas don't depend on their eyesight to navigate. Generally, they depend on their whole world exists in a world of touch. They build like a whole like carpet of web that they can feel vibrations through within a vicinity of their front door, and that's their whole world. They hardly ever leave that. Now, when it comes to male tarantulas, they will leave that to go mate, right? And then they do depend on their ocelli, but they only need to depend on their ocelli to see which way up is the sun is, and to be able to tell when predators are near. They can still feel vibrations, not quite as good because they're on open ground, but they can feel vibrations. They can see shadows, and yeah, they do have some olfactory senses as well. And one of the main thing they can feel is changes in air pressure, maybe better than we can. Well, you know, we have those fine hairs on your arms though that can pick up when someone, like, a door opens in another room, and you can just kind of feel it on those hairs. They have that times 10. And they're magnetically receptive too. You can take something metal and make the hairs bend towards it. Actually, I have a video of that on my channel too. When my Nandu chromaticus died, I did some experiments with it.
Same with most of the reports. The locals describe these spiders as being over 3 feet in diameter, and claiming that the hatchlings of these spiders are bright yellow, with a purple abdomen. So what
They
is this
sound
thing?
pretty.
Although various people have come forward and said that such a colossal spider could never exist, they haven't totally ruled out the possibility that this creature exists. Every year, scientists and researchers are discovering new species, some of which were thought to be extinct.
But human-sized spiders are probably not among
The giant
those.
spider of the Congo may be a real species. It's just that the true size of it has been exaggerated. After all, in 2019 alone, scientists discovered over 71 new species of spiders. Other mysterious creatures that have been encountered within the region is that of the Congo
Alright.
motto.
No, I was going to talk about Congo motto. I think he goes back
As well
though.
as larger flying species, it could very well be the case that the Congo motto is a direct descendant of the pterosaur, and that they've somehow managed to survive in the rich, fertile areas of the Congo. So what do you make of these mysterious encounters with the Jabal Fofi spider? Do you think the creature is real, and that the creature's true size has been increased by word of mouth? Or do you think these are just stories?
Yeah, I think that there's possibility that there's a large species of spider that's larger than other species of tarantulas. As a matter of fact, I think there's proof that they exist. I actually think that they're... Oh, this is not proof, though. This is just a big spider. But... I think there was proof that there was a species of tarantula that lived in the Congo that was bigger than any species of tarantula we know from the Congo today. Within our lifetime, I think Pocock found it. In this fun video, the Natural History Museum shows you how this question is answered and also gives you a behind-the-scenes peek at their arachnid collection. What is the world's heaviest spider? The mere suggestion of two words, heaviest and spider, standing next to each other in a sentence is enough to strike terror in the mind and hearts of arachnophobes everywhere. After recovering from the initial terror, this raises the questions. How would you even figure that out? Do you place giant angry spiders with huge fangs on a scale and hope they'll sit still long enough to get an accurate mass before they chase you out of the room? This was the question of the Natural History Museum bug expert George Bacaloni was asked to solve when he was contacted by the Guinness Book of World Records editor-in-chief Craig Glenday. Craig was following up reports of possible rivals to the currently recognized heaviest spider in the world, the female Goliath bird-eating spider, Theraphosa blondii, from South America. Craig contacted George, the author of the book, Biggest Bugs Life Size, and asked if he could check the size of the Hercules baboon spider, Histocrates Hercules from Africa, since the Natural History Museum has the world's only known specimen. One specimen. The fun video shows shows you how the question was answered, and gives you a behind-the-scenes peek at the arachnid collection at the museum. So we're gonna watch that real quick here. I don't know about that music though.
This jar contains a fairly large female of the Goliath bird-eating spider from eastern South America. The fangs must be probably the biggest fangs of any spider. The Venezuelan Indians, who sometimes eat these spiders, are known to use the fangs as toothpicks. This is from Nigeria. It was collected about 100 years ago, and there's only one specimen known. The fangs are out and the legs are up, and that's because it was probably highly annoyed when it was collected and drowned in alcohol. Here are the giant spider specimens that we're going to measure today. This one here is my wife's ex-pet called Tracy. When she died, Jan pickled her and added her to the collections here.
The baboon spider might be the biggest. There's reports online. We need to check for sure, I guess, and this has been the only specimen.
Reports online. But you gotta remember this was 13 years ago too, so.
In the best place to actually test it, so.
No.
What we're going to do is measure the volume of the two specimens using Archimedes' principle. So by immersing an object in liquid, it displaces liquid equivalent to its volume. We might as well go for the Hercules baboon spider first. When I put the spider in, it will pour out into this box. And we'll pour the alcohol into the measuring cylinder. The volume of that specimen is 22 milliliters. Now, the female Goliath bird-eating spider.
Love you, Amber.
And what would the lifespan be?
The females can actually live up to 20 years. The males live only about 5 or 6 years, and once they've mated, they die. And there we have it. 69 cubic centimeters versus 22 cubic centimeters.
So 3 times as
There's
heavy.
any doubt which is the biggest of the two species.
There's no new Guinness World Records today.
Yeah, unfortunately not.
Yeah, so. Alright. Got a couple more things I wanted to look at here. First, we're going to look at this, and I'm going to have, y'all going to see me have a meltdown? Y'all want to see me have a meltdown? Because this is going to trigger me. I'm pretty good here. For the most part. Brown recluse actually get bigger than that, but I'm not going to make a fuss about it. Garden spiders get bigger than that too. Oh, zebra spider. That's the little tiny jumping spiders, but a black widow, okay. I'm okay with that. A wolf spider, 1.5. Funnel web, 1.8, okay. I'll turn this down just a little bit. Golden silk orb weaver, 4.9. Brazilian wandering spider, 5.9. Now that's a solar fusion that it's poorly rendered, but 6 inches, and not a spider. All right, well, let's stop here for a second because we got some awful big claims here. I mean, they're not. The numbers are fine. But the scale, how small is this person supposed to be? How small can this person be that this is... And you got to remember these lengths. When you measure a spider, you're measuring from here. Yeah, from here, let me blow it up. From here to here. That's the length. So that's supposed to be 7 inches. I don't know anybody whose chest is like 10 inches across, unless they're like a child, a small child. But even the 7.9, there's just no way. That's too. Those are too big. Too big. Those are what is shown here. Yeah. Gracious. No, exaggerated. Okay. More exaggeration. 10 inches. I mean, again, the sizes they're saying that are listed aren't bad, but the visual representation. Are you telling me that that it's 10 inches from... Oh my goodness. Look at this one. Look at this monster that they have on here. There's our Lasiodora parabana. And then they're going to say a Goliath bird-eating spider is going to take up somebody's whole back. Come on now. Don't be silly. And the giant huntsman as big as someone's torso and chest and stuff. No, that's just not real. Please, please. No, these are ridiculous. Absolutely redonkulous. What else did we have? I thought I had. That's the one I just watched. That one. All right, yeah, I think we're good to go. Okay, so that's Jubbafofi and the African giant spider folklore. So, what do you guys think? Did giant spiders once roam the darkest heart of Africa, the deepest jungles of the Congo? Did giant spiders once rule those lands and terrify our primitive ancestors for millions of years and make us develop a fear of spiders that's sometimes seems a little overblown, but you got to protect yourself. And this, I think baboon spiders are a perfect example of that. I think baboon spiders have evolved to counteract primate predators, and it shows. All right. Listen, I'm in Florida, and I don't need to go to the Congo to see 2-foot spiders. All right, so yeah, that's been Giant Spiders of Africa on Cryptic Corner. Thank you for sticking around with me. This will be a follow-up to the giant spiders in North America. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time.